Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now let's welcome our main speaker for tonight, Don.
My name is Don Morgan. I'm a grateful alcoholic. I'm really glad to be here tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Judy. I really liked what you had to say. Why would you want to lose a guy that took his girlfriend to Cafe 50 or whatever it was? Dealing with big timer there. When you said you threw your shirt open and showed your breasts, he says, boy, I know a new place I'm going to start hanging out. I really liked what you had to say. You know, it sounded like we should have been married at some time or other. You know? Oh, golly. I'm the kind of guy, if a cow licks me on the cheek, I buy it a ring, you know. I didn't mean that quite. Maybe I meant you would have been a way step up, is what I was getting at. Anyway, before I get in trouble and thrown out of this clubhouse, I'm really glad to be here. I am an alcoholic and an addict. I don't know when you become all of that. I have no concept of. I don't know whether you drink your way into it, but I do know one thing. I know that I didn't fit, like you were talking about, anywhere. I was scared to death when I had to go to school. I mean, I fear like I've faced few times just going to school as a little kid, because I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. I didn't understand what they were talking about. I mean, it was everything I could do to put my name up there and the date. And it was scary business to me. And no one, you know, in my day, they just thought you were dumb or you know, just incorrigible, that you just didn't want to do it. But they didn't know that I just couldn't do it. I was just, you know, just absolutely fear was just taking me over. So that was starters. I don't know exactly when I had my first drink. You know, I certainly had a sip or two. You know, my mother used to give me a little sip of whatever. She didn't start drinking until she was about in her 40s, and she was a fallen down alcoholic, like in just a few years. She didn't like the taste of it, and when I was a kid, she used to push the wine over to me if someone broke open a bottle of wine, and I'd drink it. But I never thought my mom would have had an alcohol problem. And my dad was always the kind of guy that got drunk and fell asleep. He wasn't very, you know, he wasn't rowdy. I was the first one that I know of that was the bulldozer. But, you know, I remember an uncle coming to town that was a construction worker, and they called him Dode, whatever that was about. But all I'd heard about was Uncle Dode, that he was a race car driver. He'd been married 5 times, and he was coming to see us. And he came and he had a big old kind of cowboy hat turned down, and he had a bottle. And but just looking at that guy, I knew this guy's got what I want. You know, I mean, just looking at him, he had all the moves. You know, and he always talked through his teeth. How you doing, Donnie? And I thought that was kind of tough, you know. Why open your mouth all the goddamn way, you know? I like it. How you doing? You know, kind of, don't fuck with me kind of look, And I liked that. And he sat down and he ripped this bottle open and he said, you want a drink to everybody, And I'm like 12 or 13 years old and he says, you want a drink? I thought, man, this guy where's he been all my life? No one ever offered me, just, you want to join us? And he poured me a straight shot and I zipped that down and it burned all the way down and, all of a sudden I could spell. It just did everything for me, man. It just immediately. So I knew what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. I was going to be dousing that pain with whatever the hell was in that brown sack. And, he asked me again if I wanted another one later, and I said, hell yeah. And so then it started a deal where I started stealing bottles of wine out of school. And, when I was supposed to be in school, I'd go to a market and buy a pack of gum and come out. I was a pretty good little shoplifter. And I started drinking pretty serious and smoking cigarettes and, doing all the stuff that they didn't allow you to do in school. And I just, some of my background, I don't know where all this comes from because, I had a pretty gentle mom and a dad I had a stepdad that was from hell, but in fact, I had a few stepdads from hell, but my real dad was kind of a mellow guy, even though he was an alcoholic. He didn't pay a whole lot of attention to me because they got divorced early, and then he had another family, and he had to take care of that deal, and that stepmother would tolerate me, but I don't think she thought a whole lot about it, like I wasn't the greatest thing that ever happened to her. And my mom married a guy that I think we probably could have had a pretty normal life. He got drunk on her birthday and went out and got himself killed in a car wreck. And my sister was, I think, 2 or 3 years old. So that was the end of that dad. And then she married this really charming asshole called Ed Tunn, T-O-N. I mean, that would have kept me away, just, in itself, a name like that. But anyway, Ed Tunn, she brought him home, and Ed took one look at me, and my mom introduced me. This is Ed Tunn, this is my new husband. And he reached down and he shook hands with me, and no one ever taught me how to shake hands. I just kind of gave him the dead fish, and he looked at me kind of funny. So the next day when we're by ourselves, my mom wasn't around, he says, hey, come here a minute. Shake hands again with me. And he just crushed my hand. I was 9 years old. I just went to the ground, tears rolling out of I said, what'd you do that for, He said, don't ever shake hands like that again. Men shake hands like this, you get a grip, So be careful if any of you shake hands with me tonight, you know what I'm saying? That was the last time I ever gave someone the dead fish, but he taught by example, this guy, But the thing that he used to tell me when I was having trouble in school and running away from home and doing all this stuff, he said, I want you to go around like this, hold your hand like this all the time. I said, what for? He says, because you're always going to have a shovel in it. You're never going to be worth a shit, And he convinced me that I was dumb. And when a grown-up tells a little kid he's dumb, you kind of believe it because they know what they're talking about. And so I went through most of my life, and there's a lot of times right now that I don't think I add up to what I ought to be, And I've been sober 38 years, so it takes a little while to work on stuff like that. But Anyway, I started running away because I didn't like this home life that I was involved with, and running away to get away from school and all that. And this Ed Tunn had a few guns in his closet, and he took me out shooting a couple times. And I used to watch those old gangster movies, and I just thought carrying a rod and being able to, back people up against a wall, and nobody messes with a guy with a gun, Nowadays, everybody carries a fucking gun, so you got to have a fucking machine gun or an atomic bomb now. But when I was a kid, if you had a gun, they listened to you, So I grabbed one of those guns and I went off, ran away, and I don't know. I was kind of like Don Knotts. I put the thing in my belt down here, and it was loaded, and I thought, if that thing went off, it'd shoot my dick off. And maybe I better put the bullets up here, So I put the bullets up here, and there's something lost about saying, "Hang on a minute, I'll be right with you." But anyway, I thought I was pretty tough, and I got arrested that night. I usually didn't make it over a whole night, which pissed me off. I would have liked to stayed out all night sometime. But anyway, they told me if I ever ran away again, was ever caught with a gun, they were going to send me up for a year. And I'm only 13 years old, And I thought, oh, they're bullshitting. They're not going to send, So I took another one of my stepdad's guns, and I ran away again. And I went to Pasadena again. You'd think I'd pick a different town, but that's something about guys that like to do illegal things that I've found over the years with the trouble I've been in. And I have a stepson that's in the penitentiary right now. And I found out that, if you pull something off and it doesn't work out, you want to keep doing that no matter how many times you get in trouble, because, gee, it would be nice to pull it off. And, Anyway, I go to Pasadena, I got the gun, and I'm walking around, I'm being a big shot, and I'm showing it to people, and this one guy said, "Where are you staying tonight?" And I said, I don't have anywhere to stay. He said, "If you go over to the YMCA, they'll give you a room." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, just go over and tell them you don't have anywhere to stay." So I go over there, and I tell them that, and they give me a bunk, and I'm sleeping on my stomach, so I got the gun in the back here, and the cops come in and they grab me, and they frisk me, but they don't find the gun in my back. And they take me down to the police station, and now I'm going to kind of talk like Uncle Dode while I'm at the police station. The guy's saying, "What's your name?" I said, "I ain't got one." I'm 13. I'm about as tall as this podium, sitting on the floor, or maybe no, that's too tall. But and skinny as a rail, long, shaggy hair, scared to death, but gonna act tough, And the guy said, "What's your name?" And I said, "I ain't got no name." And he takes out one of those saps that the cops used to carry, which was lead filled, and he slams it right down between my fists. He really didn't even hit anything, but the breeze was fierce. And I said, "My name's Don Morgan. I live in Burbank." Oh, I hated that. It just kind of slipped out, because I was the kind of guy I wanted to be. I always wanted to go to death row without ever being there, I just wanted the handle, and be able to tell guys what a tough guy I was. So anyway, the judge wasn't kidding. He sent me up to Pacific Lodge Home for Boys, which is, Club Med for bad guys, and told me that if I didn't stay there, it was going to get tougher with each runaway. And I stayed there 3 days, and I ran away, and I went up the coast, and I met some people that were really trying to help me. I lied to them and told them that my folks had thrown me out and that I needed a job. And the guy took pity on me, and he said, "Look, I can't be caught with you driving you around, but if you happen to end up down in a place down in near San Diego called Palms. There's another one around here too, but this place was called Palms. He said, if you're down there, I'll help you live. I'll find you a place to stay. And so I go down there, I hitchhike down to San Diego, and I'm ahead of him, so I'm thinking, well, I decide to cross the border over into Mexico, and it was during the war, and there was sailors and girls and all kinds of stuff that was interesting going on over in Tijuana. And I go over there, and I meet these little kids, and I'm hungry, and they're telling me that if you bring sailors to these girls, you make $1. Whew, boy, that sounded like pretty easy pickings, So I run over, and I get me one sailor, and I bring him over, and the girls are pinching me on the butt and telling me how, in Spanish, they're, Anyway, it was lovely. And I've always craved attention, and so anyway, I bring one sailor to one girl. The cops come and grab me and throw me in jail, and I'm there. I'm in jail for 8 days. I'm in the jail during the day and the men's prison in Tijuana, and all day long, and at night we slept in the jail. And guys are ornery, man. They were kidding me. They were going, "You'll never get out of here. You're in here for life." And no one talked to me for 8 days. No one said, "Did you do this?" Or, there was no court, and there was no hearing, there was no probation, there was nobody talking to me. Every day they'd take me out of the jail, put me in a van with some other guys, and drop us off at prison. I saw a guy go nuts and grab a pot of stew that was boiling and just fried his hand and threw it at us. And, it was quite a place for a 13-year-old. And there was a lot of stuff going on in there. And there was barbed wire and broken glass and adobe or whatever the walls were. And the guards were there with guns. And they'd shoot at you if you got out of line. I saw them shoot at some guys. And we used to go over to where there was a bunch of, I believe they were Chinese, and they had a cell block that was just all Chinese. And if you went over there, they'd hand you food out the window, and they'd shoot at you. I went over there a couple times and got some food, but never got shot at. But anyway, after 8 days, somebody finally came and took me to what I guess was a police station to talk to me. And some American said, "What are you in here for? It's just a kid." And he signed some papers, and I got out. Anyway, the long and short of this thing is I just kept running away, not going to school, I could never fill out a job application because I couldn't spell. And the funny part is I can read, but I can't spell. I mean, I can read this word and walk over here and not remember what it is. And what that's all about, I don't know. But that's what was going on. And I'm dyslexic. When I read, words go like this. And when I try to remember a phone number or even look at it, I'll dial the numbers different than I see if I don't really concentrate. So whatever that's about, it was pretty annoying, pretty scary stuff for me. And it still is. It still is. I have a wife that helps me fill out everything. Whenever I got a doctor's appointment, I call ahead, and I say, if there's any paperwork, fax it to our house so I have it all filled out. And I'm 72 years old, and I'm still doing that. But the part of the story that is going to get better sooner or later, if we don't run out of time, is that I came here. So anyway, about skipping through life a little bit and still having this problem, I would try different things. Like I did get a job in a film lab, and I was able to work in a film lab and do okay. But I bought a gas station at one time, and you're supposed to keep records. I would sell shit off the shelves, and actually I was supposed to give a guy $100 a week for this gas station. And I kept forgetting to give him the 100, and I'd spend it at the liquor store. So I actually stole the gas station. I don't know if many people have done that, but anyway, I did stuff like that to try to earn a living because I was just scared to death to, any kind of opportunity that ever came to me that I rode in rodeos when I was 16 years old. I'm from Hollywood, California. Not a whole lot of bronc riders from Hollywood, California. And, I rode bulls and bareback horses and saddle broncs, and I loved those big hats, and I had a fake ID, and I'd go into bars when I'm 16, and I just thought, I was John Wayne, and I'd, give me a shot and a beer, and I'd put out this phony-ass driver's license that said I weighed 165 pounds. I think I weighed 127. It said I had blue eyes. They were brownish hazel or whatever, and nothing matched, but they never cared in those days like they do now.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
They'd give me a beer and a shot, and the guy sitting next to me at this place called the Hitchin Post, he grabbed my hat, and I said, "Hey, don't fuck with my lid, I'm taking up a half seat on each side, and I'm just thinking and he did that 3 times, and I said, "Hey, I tell you what, man, I'm going to buy you a drink, and I'm going to take you out back and kick the shit out of you." And he said, Oh, really? Yeah, okay, I'll have a whatever. And he drank it too fast. I was hoping he'd sip. A while so I could get a strategy going. So I walk out and I think, I'm going to nail this guy the minute he comes out the door because he might be tougher than he looks. So I walk out, and when a minute he comes, I go, bam, everything I've got, which was 127 pounds of nothing. And he went, oh, fuck, okay. And he started banging on me, and I could never find him. He'd be over here knocking, I'd turn here, and he'd bang, 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 And so I finally, I took a dive. I fell down and pretended I was out, and one of my really good friends, I had some really dynamite guys that were backing me up, picked me up. The guy's name was Tubby. He picked me up, and he said, you got him now, he's getting tired. And he pushed me back out. And I was just mincemeat, and that's kind of the way life went for me, from bar to bar. Anyway, I gave up rodeo riding. It was too tough, and I became a race car driver. Now, there's not a whole lot of, they don't hire a whole lot of guys that are drunks to drive race cars. I found that out, but I bought my own race car and crashed it quite a few times, and I tried to do that for years, and I did everything in the world to try to keep from, I thought if I don't make a living doing something, if I can't win the Indianapolis Speedway or do something, I'm not going to have much of a chance. I had a lot of energy, but I don't know how a guy like me could ever do anything that took any kind of brains. So I finally got a chance to, a guy gave me an opportunity to work as an assistant for this cameraman that did aerial photography for a living. And I went over there and I hung on to that job every day. And he wasn't paying me. I was just learning the equipment. I'd go over there and hang around. And I was married to my third wife, and she's saying, you got to bring some money home. I said, I can't blow this opportunity. And I just kept going to this place and going. Now, in the meantime, I'd gone to a couple of meetings, and I was sober for a few minutes. And well, I like you, I went for a while and had to go out and the story wasn't good enough. Had to spruce it up with some more crap, But anyway, the thing that happened was I got this dream job, hanging out of helicopters and going all over the world and working with this guy, And he sent me on my first paid job to Philadelphia, and I'd been sober a month or two this time. And I thought, boy, I'm really he gave me $100 per diem, and I'd never had $100 in my life at one time, I don't think. And I had $100 per diem, and you know how guys like us or ladies like us or whatever, we get that opportunity that means so much and then we blow it. Well, that's what, I get on this plane, first class ticket to Philadelphia. I'd never gone anywhere first class. I'd never even eaten in the Cafe 50 or whatever. It was always kind of low below stuff, But anyway, I'm sitting in first class, and in those days the bottles were only little bottles like this, and they had the little cart, and the little cute girl would come up. Would you like a drink, Mr. Morgan? And I'd never been called Mr. Morgan. Well, of course I'm gonna have a drink. So I had a double scotch and water, just to. I'm first class. And I hadn't smoked in 2.5 years, and they had those little comp cigarettes. In about 5 minutes, I'm saying, honey, hit us again. You don't do that on first class, by the way, but I didn't know it. Honey, can you, glass empty, can I have another pack of those comp cigarettes, And I'm asking the guy next to him, what do you do? And he says, I'm in toys, and he gives me his card. And he said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a cameraman. It's my first day as an assistant, but I promoted myself, I'm a cameraman. And he goes, yeah, really, what do you do? I said, I specialize in aerial photography. I'd only been up in a copter a couple of times with somebody else, but I was a specialist. By the way, when I owned that gas station, the first day I had cards made up, Don Morgan, truck and car specialist. And because I figured once you knew how to raise the hood, you were a specialist, I used to wreck some real nice cars with some of my, I'll fix it, you know. But anyway, we landed, and I got drunk with the $100 that I had, and I went up to my room, and I puked and threw up, and I had a little tiny tie that I think I bought at Penny's, and it's hanging in the toilet, and I'm laying there in the bed, and I forgot to call my new wife, and the next morning I wake up, and I look, and I go, oh, God damn it, I blew the call. My first job, my first day on the job. I thought, oh, shit. The phone rings, and the guy says, hey, Don, I'm really sorry. It's raining, and we had to cancel the shoot. We'll do it tomorrow. Now, I always thought those were coincidences till I came here, you know. I didn't think God had anything to do with protecting me. But anyway, the next day I was sharp as a tack. I did everything I was supposed to do. Then my next job was to go to Philadelphia and show them how to put this mount together for a rental place. I got drunk again that night. So I'm walking to the plane the next day, November 5th. I think I got 38 years. I never can figure out whether it's, I think it was 65 or 66. But I'm walking to the plane, and I realize for the first time in all those years that I was the joke. No one has ever been out to get me. No one, was put on this earth and saying, try to annoy Don Morgan. I was the guy. I no longer could blame anybody. I no longer could blame my mom, my stepdads, my whatever. I just couldn't do it anymore. I knew I was the joke. And I've never had a drink since. And that was 38 years ago. And in that 38 years, I went back. I became this guy's assistant. He said, you're the best thing that ever happened to this organization. He formed a company because there was some union problems. He formed another little side company and made me a cameraman. I became one of the hottest aerial cameramen in the movie business, one of them. And I got a lot of recognition, made a lot of money. I adopted a couple of kids. We had a couple of kids. I had a son by my first marriage. He's 52 years old. You were talking about born again. He was in this program for several years sober, and he got going to church, and he became a born again, which I have nothing against, but he's over to our house one Christmas, and we're all around. He's got the fucking spirit. He's going, in Jesus' name, I don't know why we got to do that, but you got to rear your head back and let him know you know his name. Jesus' name, and he's really rocking and rolling. And so a couple hours later, he yells at one of my younger boys, and I said, hey, I'll take care of that. And in about 2 minutes, he's saying, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, he says. I'm his dad, And I said, yeah, you could kick my, and we're talking like that, and I'm going, what happened to Jesus? All of us. Because I don't know, he could do it, and I didn't know, maybe we ought to get back in that circle again, but anyway, he's a hell of a guy, and he's still sober, and he's on a little different path than I am. And I love him to death, and we got a heck of a relationship now. And he's given me grandkids, and one of his kids gave me great grandkids, which I don't brag about too much. But anyway, the story is I got working as a cameraman, and pretty soon the aerial thing wasn't as busy as I liked it, and I kind of branched out, and I got interested in lighting and being a cinematographer for movies. And guys gave me a couple opportunities. The opportunities have always been out there, but I've always drank them away or figured I wasn't worthy or did something to blow them. But I started taking advantage of stuff, and a guy asked me the first thing I ever photographed that wasn't from a helicopter was a bunch of little kids with balloons yelling, hey, and I didn't know how to light them, and I got a gaffer to help me, and I got a real kick out of lighting this thing with this guy, and reading the meter and doing all this stuff. And the guy said, boy, you did a hell of a job. And there wasn't much to it, but that was great, you know. And then I got a movie that I was, a bunch of us participated in, and people said, God, you did a great job. And I was learning on the job. You know, all these old-time cinematographers that went through all of the stuff, you know, and I just fell right in the middle. And, you know, I guess I have an eye that God loaned me if I stay sober to do this stuff. And I didn't know how to light real good, so I bought a book of 100 famous paintings. And you know, I'd heard of Rembrandt, but some of these Dutch names, you know, I'm going, yeah, these fuckers know what they're doing, you know. And they didn't have a gaffer, you know. I started thinking I can do that, and I copied a lot of stuff. And I had a guy come to me once. I did a little movie of the week that was only 13 days. That's a lot of work in 13 days. And he said, every frame looks like Rembrandt did it. And man, the guy thinks I'm like Rembrandt, you know. And little by little, I got doing better and better stuff. And I got nominated for an Emmy once, and I was up in Canada and couldn't be there. I didn't win. And then I met my present wife, who's, my wife's 22 years sober. I'm 38 years sober. Our dog has got 7 years. And we got an AA sober house. You know, it's really the best. I'm married to the absolute dream woman of my life. I love the ground that woman walks on. I am tickled to death. I've never been, I've told everyone I ever ran into I loved them, and I never knew what it meant till I met this gal. And we just got this. Anyway, I get nominated for a picture that I did, and we're driving over, we're living together, we're not married yet, and we're driving over to Pasadena. Better watch out, honey, I'm liable to get thrown in jail, you know. We drive over, and I'm telling her the story about, you know, the cops and going to jail and getting sent up, and she's in AA. She heard me talk before. So we go to the awards, and I know they're not gonna give an award to me, you know, to Don Morgan, blah blah blah. So pretty soon they announce the 5 guys that are nominated. And they say, and the winner is, and that's when the sound kind of went goofy. The winner is Lim Morgan. My wife said, or my girlfriend then says, get up, you won. And the guy's patting me on the back next to me, and I'm going, I needed a paper sack, man. Where's Uncle Dode when you need him, you know? And I'm afraid I'm going to get up, and they're going to go, not you, we meant him, you know. And I get up there, and they give you the award, you know, and I'm trying to remember who to thank, and I go around the back, and they want to take it away from you. It's a prop till you go upstairs, and I'm back there with the gal going like, you know, going, I'll take you to the floor, bitch. This is mine, you know. She convinces me if I go upstairs, they'll give me my own, you know. So I come back, you know, and if you remember, my stepdad said, hold your hands like this because you'll always be digging ditches. A goddamn Emmy fits in there pretty good, too. Yeah. So anyway, we stopped in front of the police station and cried, and my gal's holding the Emmy, and I go, how do you get from there to here? And I'll tell you how you do it. You do it in Alcoholics Anonymous. And since then, I've won 4 more Emmys. I won one this year, and I won one last year. And it's just unbelievable to me. And it has really, I mean, I can look at those Emmys, and they make me excited for a minute. But bringing a new guy that I know might change his life is what it's really all about. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, guys used to listen to me talk, and I used to tell them, look, I'm really sorry I'm bothering you. You know, new guys don't know that they're saving our lives. You know, if I didn't stay active, like you were talking about, I'll be back out there. I have to do what I was around here for 8 years and did not do my inventory because I couldn't spell, and I thought, I don't need to do that shit. You know, that's for most people. It's suggested. You know what? Someone told me, so is jumping out of an airplane, skydiving. It's suggested that you pull the ripcord. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it. You'll fucking die if you don't, but you don't have to. And that's what the steps are. You don't have to do them, but you'll die if you don't. And that's what and I met my sponsor down at Venice meeting years ago. I had him for 28 years after I was around for 8 years. I don't know if all that arithmetic's working out, but I think that's what it was. And he died 2 years ago. His name was Frank Defrey. I don't know if anybody knows him, but I went over to his house. I told him I needed to learn to meditate. And I get over to his house and he says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do the 11th step. I am having trouble meditating. And now I'd been around 8 years and he'd only been around 6. I thought, he might learn something if he hangs with me, He says, did you do an inventory? Now, why would you ask a guy that's been around 8 years that wants to do the 11th step if he doesn't, He could tell, sweaty palms, I think. Anyway, I said, well, he said, no, fuck well. Did you do it or didn't you? I thought, Jesus, this guy's a little rough. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask someone else. Anyway, that guy saved my life. I did one on tape. He listened to that, and he thought it sounded like As the World Turns, and he said, that ain't going to work. I don't check spelling, just do an inventory. And I did an inventory, and what was exciting about it, newcomers, is that all the years I was around, my image was bronc rider, race car driver, helicopter cameraman, tough guy, tattoos, this, that, the other thing. I thought I was a lot of things. I thought I was a lover. Most guys that have been divorced 3 times are not probably lovers, I don't remember too many people after I left or they threw me out coming begging me to come back, But, when you do that inventory, it introduces you to you. And so I read it, and I finally got to know Don Morgan and what he's really about. And what he's about is all the years that I tried to be a man, I never was. The years that I've been in here, I think I've come close. Because when I got a divorce, I paid my child support. I paid my alimony. I went up and did things. I was active with my kids. I met a gal that was active with my kids, and we've got a hell of a life. I mentioned that I have a son a stepson in the penitentiary. He got thrown in jail for armed robbery. Got 22 years for armed robbery, and he's getting out in May. He's done 12 years. He was supposed to do 11 and get out, and he caught another little beef while he was in there. He's 5 years sober right now that he got sober in the joint. And I think he's got a real chance. He's a delightful guy. He made some real bad mistakes, and he's on our path now. And I'll be there for him if he's there for him, and that's what it's all about. If you count you in. My dad was sober 19 years and never came to a meeting except to give me a cake. And one day he said, boy, that's quite an outfit you guys belong to. I said, you're in whenever you say you're in. He said, really? All those years of knowing, coming to meetings once in a while, he didn't know. All you had to do was say, yeah, I'm in. And, this is for you newcomers or old timers or whatever. This is the best life anybody could have that's got the disease of alcoholism or drug addiction. I'm so grateful to be here tonight. Thanks again. Thank you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.